try to get all my rough sketches in order here. My name's Dan. And I am going to do a little lesson in linear perspective. Let's see if I can get my monitor up working. Looks like it is. Very good. Hello again. My name's Dan. And I am doing another architectural rendering. Same client that I was working for last week. If you happen to catch one of those broadcasts. Let me go ahead and turn my volume up just a little bit and see if I've got sound coming out. Testing 1, 2, 3. There we go. All right, we do have sound coming out. That's always a good sign. Please feel free to leave your chats, and of course, please feel free to like and subscribe. All right, let's get to work. So, again, I show these things. Let me change this camera just a little bit. I show you these things primarily as educational tools. Some of you might be interested to know what an artist goes through to do the work that he or she is called upon to do. So it's a tree house. This is a local job, so I walked the property. I forgot to take a picture of the property, so I asked them to take a picture, and there it is. Wow. And this was my first very rough sketch, and then we had a conversation on the phone, and all the red marks are a bunch of changes. After that conversation, I don't remember what order I did these in, but I did 1, 2. Took me quite a while to figure out how to draw a spiral staircase. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the last drawing that I did, and then I had to run out of the house and go and do a bunch of errands. And when I came back, I went, nah. Okay, so let me go back to the very first drawing because it's the prettiest one. So it's a tree house. It's about 9 feet off the ground. This one tree is quite specific. I've got it wrong here, but I've got a photograph now to remind me a little bit more what that tree looks like. And then a number of other trees. And it's, as you can see, 16 feet across, 14 here, big gable front, a dormer on each side, a spiral staircase, a twisting slide, and a rope bridge up to, not like this, but a rope bridge, swinging bridge that goes straight across, and then a ladder to a crow's nest. All right, so here's the challenge. And if I show you again some of the more finished or technically accurate drawings, you can see this is the last one I did. There's several things about it I don't like. The crazy part is I'm trying to show enough of the face of the building because that's the most interesting part. And I don't like the way that turned out. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to wing it again. And I am just visualizing in my mind, pencil. This is not linear perspective yet, by the way. Hang on, that's coming. At the moment, I'm going to do what I might call fly by the seat of your pants perspective. Okay? So fly by the seat of your pants perspective means I'm trying to see it in my mind's eye. Now, I've already decided, let me do a scribble over here and show you what I'm thinking. I've already decided that I don't want to do a low view looking up, even though there are a lot of things about that would make sense. It would make sense to be looking up at a treehouse. That's how most of us look at tree houses, right? What doesn't make sense about that is if it's a low view, then the deck around the treehouse would be a big prominent part of the drawing, and all the support structure, all the boring stuff, all the inner guts of the treehouse would be the primary visual, and the deck would obscure much of the treehouse. All right, so I'm already past that. It's got to be a view looking down on the treehouse. The problem is if I look down on this, like at this angle right here, because of the shape of the roof in front, it obliterates a whole bunch of the front of the house, which is also a problem. All right, so that's enough talking. Here we go. I'm looking down on this treehouse. And by the way, I'm resisting the temptation to draw it big because two things. One is I need this space for linear perspective, and I want to make it small because there are a lot of other things happening in this space. So I'm going to visualize now a perspective where we're looking down That's the front. Again, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants right now. It's 16 feet across and 14 feet back. Okay, now here's where I tell you, this is not the scientific way to figure out 16 versus 14. This is just me guesstimating, and I'm actually going to make that just a little bit longer. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, and again, this is fly by the seat of your pants perspective at the moment. This will all change in just a couple minutes. By the way, I was teaching an art class, 10 or 15 years ago, and it was a painting class, not a drawing class. But I said to the students, they had paper in front of them and a pencil. I said, okay, everybody draw a cube. And this is the expression I got. I went, wait a minute. Do you guys not know how to draw a cube? And they all went, oh my. Okay, so it was one of those, I didn't do that in front of them. I kept on my nice, happy teacher poker face. But I discovered that day, a lot of people don't know how to draw a cube. Okay, since we're on the subject, here, let me get a great big fat pencil. This is the pencil. How to draw a cube. Draw a square, then draw another square, overlapping that square, and then connect all the corners. Ta-da! And so that's a glass cube, right? And if you want to make it not glass, then you erase, all of these lines. Right? I won't take time to erase them completely, but you got the idea. There. Now you know how to draw a cube. And let me do a little bit of shading so you can just see. There. There. Got it? All right, that's cube. So that's exactly what I'm doing here, and except a little bit more carefully, and it's not a cube, it's etc. All right. I'm going to go with this for a minute, and here's what I'm going to do. Here's where the linear perspective lesson starts. And by the way, I see somebody's watching. Please feel free to leave a chat or a comment. Either one. I guess you have to do chats now. That's the only option. Okay, so the very first line that I'm firming up, that is, I'm using a ruler, is the top front of this line. Don't move the ruler. With a light pencil line, continue that line all the way off in that direction. Now, if we're looking at an object, a box, we're above the box, we're looking down. Can you tell which of these corners is closest to us, closest to our eyeballs, closest to the observer? Do you know which corner? If you said this one, you're exactly correct, right? So everything in this box is further away than this point. That means this bottom line, which is the second line I'm going to firm up, has a vanishing point off that way, way off camera, way off the page. And this line that I'm drawing right now will determine a whole bunch of stuff. Oops, I made the mistake of moving the ruler. That's right. Line it back up again with the line I drew, and with a light pencil line, draw that. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but this line very, very slightly gets closer together. Here, just for fun. Down here, it's 1 1/16 inches apart, and up here, it's 15/16. So it's an 1/8 of an inch closer together. These two lines are 1/8 of an inch closer here than here. So that's called a vanishing point. And the vanishing point in this case, as is the case with most objects that you draw, is way the heck off the page that way. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. Now, let's do the same thing. I'm going to start the corner closest to me. And again, I'm looking down at this tree house. And I have to be able to visualize that to see what's going on. All right. And then the bottom line is right about there. Everything I'm doing, whoa. All right. Now, do you see where these two lines, usually, the rule of thumb, usually, not always, but usually, if one vanishing point is off the page or out of view, out of sight, off the page or canvas that way, the other vanishing point is on the page, on the canvas, in sight that way. Now, this is very important. The point at which those two lines meet, I'm going to turn my paper around the other way. The point at which those two lines meet, and I'm actually going to make a dot. I do this often. In other words, I'm not just doing this for you. And a circle around it. That is the horizon line. And I'm going to draw a horizon line. What that means is I am floating or flying up in the air, or I'm a drone. I'm looking down at a tree house that's about 9 feet off the ground, 16 by 14. And if I'm looking down at the tree house, here's where the horizon would be, the edge of the earth, where the earth meets the sky. Oh boy, this requires some definitions. All right. Because this can get confusing. Horizon is where earth meets sky. Okay, wait for it. If, great big fat underlined circled 3 times, if there's nothing in the way. Nix, short for nothing, in between. All right? In other words, the horizon, you can only see the horizon, frankly, you can only see it if you're out in Kansas wheat fields or if you're standing on the shore looking at the ocean. You can only see the horizon if there's no hills, mountains, buildings, trees, or anything else between you and the horizon. Got it? So eliminate all that stuff, and the horizon is where the earth meets the sky if there's nothing blocking your view. All right. Now, all the vanishing points on a square-ish object, like a house, anything that's built with Euclidean geometry, there's a good word for you. Anything built square-ish, like buildings and houses in Western society. turned on the light for a second because I want to draw my vertical lines perfectly vertical. And by the way, this kind of ruler with the lines on it going both ways is very, very useful for a lot of things, including doing quick and easy perspective drawings, because now I know that these lines are perfectly vertical. All right, I'm going to continue drawing some perspective lines. So I'm getting deep already. All vanishing points vanish on the horizon. So in other words, these two lines, if I extended them, they would probably go about 5 or 6 feet off the end of this paper, and they would come all the way up to here, maybe 7 feet. Does that make sense to you? All vanishing points exist on the horizon. Oops, I failed to draw a line. Let me draw another line. By the way, if you've never heard me give my 30-second rant on linear perspective, here it is. If you're over the age of 24, in other words, if you're under 24, keep studying and trying to learn linear perspective. That's because of your brain the cement's not dry till roughly 24 years old. So keep on learning. But if you're over that age, or say over 30, and you've tried to learn linear perspective and you haven't succeeded, don't try anymore. That's my strange. So this video is only for people who get savvy, understand linear perspective. I don't mean to understand it perfectly, just kind of get it. Because what I'm hoping to do in this video is help you go a little bit beyond kind of get it and get it considerably. Okay, because I'm going to give you a few tips. Many of you learned linear perspective, so to speak, in junior high or high school or maybe even college art classes. But if you learned it in a class, you probably didn't learn it very well because it gets really, really, really deep really fast. And the classrooms don't have time to go that deep. All right, so there is, as I'm trying to see if this is going to work. Now, again, looking at the treehouse, it has a peak, a gable in the front, right? That's number one. All right, here's part where maybe your perspective class in high school probably didn't have time to go to this level of detail. And again, I'm not doing super academic. This is just medium. How do you the gable? Let me show another drawing. This gable clearly is in the middle of this 16-foot span, right? How do you find the middle? Real easy, real quick. You draw a line between these four corners, 2 lines, and where the lines meet, that is the middle. So I'm going to put my pencil there in the middle and line up my ruler there. So that's the middle of this span. You can't measure this way because of linear perspective. You can't say, well, it's 1 5/16, so it's, blah, 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 1 2 3 4 5. If you just measured it, you would try to make it there, and it would be cattywampus. It would be off. Cattywampus, that's a good word. That's a good Texas word. I like it. All right, so the gable meets right here. Now I'm doing more fly by the seat of my pants. If this is 16 feet wide, then I'm guessing it's 10 feet tall, and I'm guessing that the gable is not quite double that. So this is 1 1/8, not quite double that. I'm going to say 15/16. I'm just trying to visualize what is a pleasant architectural height. Okay, so now from there down to this corner, and from there down to this corner. Now, let me erase some of these lines so that you're not completely confused. I can erase this line now, and I think I can turn off this light for a moment. And I can erase this line. And I can, all of this is either covered up, or this diagonal is just an exercise for me to find the center. Vanishing point right there. Now, some of you are ahead of me, and we're not going to get this deep. Hello, Grady Gillis. Oh my, did you really? You taught it. Hello, Artist Ross. Wonderful, wonderful. Junior high drafting class, that's excellent. Yeah. Hello, Mark Toomey. Good to see you as well. Okay, there actually, when you're drawing any Euclidean geometry, by the way, okay, quick school, Euclidean geometry is Greek. You hear that Greek word, Euclid, a man. That's when the Greeks, the light bulb came on and said, oh, when we build organized, structured, civilized buildings, we build them on 90 degrees or other, I don't know what pentatonic, five-sided. We build them on geometric structure patterns, right? Whether it's a hexagon or a triangle, mostly though square, right? And well, what other kind of architecture is there? Aha, so glad you asked. Caves, mud huts, grass huts, and all kinds of, cow patty huts. even the pioneers out in the western expansion of the United States, they did build their houses out west out of dry cow patties. But even then, they built them using straight lines, log cabins, Euclidean geometry. All right, so that's what that word means. All right, back to the drawing at hand. There are actually 3 vanishing points. One that way, and one that way. But the one this way is so slight that if I were to try to include it in this drawing, it would just be confusing. Confusing for me to draw, and it's just so slight. Now, let me quick. Are there other times that human beings see 3-point perspective? Absolutely. Let's imagine that we're standing in New York City, and here's a bunch of tall buildings going down one side of the street. Another, I guess this is a street that only has tall buildings on one side of the street, right? You've all seen this before, but if the buildings are sufficiently tall, what happens? We actually see them, those skyscrapers, like this. And when you see that, you have 3-point perspective. Vanishing point 1, vanishing point 2, and vanishing point 3. All right, and this vanishing point, of course, is not on the horizon. Just these are. All right, so yes, but on something this flat, no. So in that case, the roof back here is going to be, because I am not taking 3rd point perspective into account in this drawing. All right, yeah, am I made that clear? So these 2 lines are going to be parallel. And here, once again, that's part of the reason this kind of ruler is so convenient. All right, are you with me now? Let me erase a few more of these lines, and I hope now you're seeing the classic house shape. Am I right? Yes. It's going to get tricky in just a minute, but that's the basic. 1 vanishing point way off 5 feet that way, 1 vanishing point here. What I want to talk about is how these lines, I don't have to, I've done this before where I'm doing really super technical academic perspective. I literally will have a bigger table than this and but actually create a vanishing point. Now let you see my face. you get the idea. If you really have a big illustration that the perspective needs to be dead on, then what you actually do, you don't draw a vanishing point 5 feet. Of course, you're going to need a 6-foot ruler. Do you understand? But I have those. I have an 8-foot ruler. I don't use it. It's in the garage, but I don't use it for drawing much, but I could. You don't draw a vanishing point. You make one. So I take a paper clip. I guess, should I show you this? Ouch. It doesn't do to push your fingers into a little container filled with, here we go. Okay, just in case, I'll show you how to make a vanishing point. Take a paper clip, unfold it, twist it so one of the points goes up, and then you get a piece of super duper Gorilla Tape, which this is not Gorilla Tape, and you tape it down like this, and then okay, I didn't know it's going to go quite to this degree but yeah, somebody might want to know this. And of course, I'd make it nice and tight and tight. Not crooked like this is. Can you guys even see that? Maybe this is a better angle, slightly better. All right, and then you decide which side is your vanishing point, either this side of the paper clip or this side, not both. I'm going to say this side. So now, and imagine this is 5 feet down that way. Then that right there is my vanishing point. You get it? And back to the, thank you very much. Now you all know how to make a real good vanishing point. And yes, I have done many renderings over the years, architectural renderings, where I have created physical vanishing points. And I would tape this piece of paper, the drawing, so there's no movement. And that thing that I built, this right here, is on the horizon line. All right, I'm getting a little deep for you right there. Let's go back to something more moderate. Here's where this, I'll let you, so that's the basic, oh, no, I'm not going to do that here. So let me add another line. I'm going to say the top of the door or the top of the windows, I'm going to say is right here. And then it's important to draw this line over here. Let's say there's a welcome mat. There's probably won't be, but let's say there's a welcome mat. Then I draw that line. Here's what I want you to see. I want you to see these lines right here. I can tell right now this bottom one that I just did is a little bit off. Let me exaggerate it again. So I'm going to get a plain piece of paper. If you have a bunch of lines, you can't see where they meet, but by looking at them, you can kind of tell that they all meet in the same spot. The word I would use would be coterminous. They all terminate at one spot. One of those is slightly off. Can you tell which one? It's this one right here. Let me correct it. And it's just my eye tells me that might be correct. If I draw a line like this, that line is not coterminous with all these other lines. Am I making sense? So that's the trick that I'm using here. I just have to be able to recognize that these lines are all pointed in the same direction. All right. I'll do another one just to give the example. The middle of the windows here, there's going to be a mullion. That's the big board. And once again, I got that in the right place. So that's really the lesson in in usable perspective. Not academic, super tech, high accurate. No. High tech, I already showed you. I mean, again, if you're drawing without a computer, you actually use a 6-foot ruler and build a vanishing point and so forth. But that's not what is required for this job. All right, I'll let you into the challenges, though, on this particular case. First of all, the roof is going to extend forward in front of this line. So far, that's easy. I line up right here, and I extend it forward. Now, I'm just eyeballing it. Down here, it extends forward 2 feet. That's what my client told me. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, a little bit more than that. This is 14 feet, so I'm trying to guess. All right, now, these two, excuse me while I turn you upside down. This line is parallel because I'm not messing with 3-point perspective, only 2-point perspective. So I'm keeping the drawing fairly simple. And I'm going to turn on this light so I can see my lines even better. Now, I'm going to redraw. Again, using the lines on my ruler. Okay, let me erase some of this stuff now so that you can see, so you can visualize what I'm seeing. Can you see that now? Right? It looks like this roof is extending in front of this plane, of course. That's the way it's supposed to look. Now, we're not done yet. This roof also extends this way. My client did not say how much. Enough to give some rain protection. So I'm just going to wing it. And I'm going to say, yeah, I think that's close enough. So I wanged it. now I'm going to redraw it with a ruler and redraw these lines with a ruler. All right. And then let me erase some of this stuff so you can visualize with me. Now do you see? And by the way, all of this stuff, everything I'm doing right now, this is what I mean when I say, if your brain, you're over 30 years old, your brain doesn't get it, doesn't get linear perspective, then this video is not for you. You could watch it and go, wow, I don't get it. You can do that. But those of you who your brain essentially gets it, you savvy in your gut somewhere. You go, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I get it. That makes sense. See, this video, you're liking this video because you get it. Hopefully I'm giving you a few extra tips, but the point I want to make is this video is not for everybody. Some of you are going, I don't get it. Okay, then many other times I've told you, if you don't get linear perspective, quit, stop, don't read any more books, don't take any more classes, don't watch any more videos, because I'm convinced you're never going to get it. That's just not how your brain works. In your case, you have to do things like hold your brush or your pencil up in the air and match angles, or hands on a clock face. Okay, I've talked about that so many other times. I'm not going to talk any more than that about it today. All right, let's go back to now the house that we're building. Oh, I can erase this line up here. That marks the center of this. Oh, while I do it though, let me go ahead and redraw that, because all of that does show up down here. Now, okay, good. Now, it gets worse than this. Because there's one more, and you can see, right? This looks like a house with a gabled front and a roof that extends frontwards. Oh, you know what? The roof doesn't extend backwards. We better fix that right now. Okay, so that again, this is kind of fly by the seat of your pants, linear perspective, a little bit. It's kind of like right in between. There are many times when I'm doing architectural renderings, especially for this particular client, because he's a landscape designer. He's not building a house, so it's not critical that my linear perspective be perfect in his case. Does that make sense to you? All right. So there's many times I don't do any of this at all. This is intermediate. This is a linear perspective, but not super tight. All right, there's one more change to this roof. And let me see if I can find my sketch. I sent this sketch to my client a little while ago because I wanted to make sure it's like this, right? And he said yes. Oh, if I can't find it second time around, I won't bother with it. All right, it's around here somewhere. I can't find it. I'll just describe it to you then. All right, here it is. The top of this gable comes forward. Here, this roof line is about 2 feet in front of this plane, right? This plane has 2 French doors, windows, and I don't know what you call this fancy thing. I'll draw it. You'll see it in a minute. But this part of the roof line extends forward about another 5 feet. Oh my goodness. Hang on, my mechanical pencil. There we go. The lead was red out. All right, so I'm just going to draw this line. This is 2 feet right here. Now I am going to measure. This is cheating. If that's 2 feet, it's just a little over 1/4 of an inch. Then 4 more feet would make it come out to here, which I feel like I don't think I want to go. So I'm trying to indicate 6 feet out from the plane instead of 7. Let me draw that. So my hash mark right there is my guess. Actually, I'm going to go out just a tiny bit more. That's 4 feet and a bit. Now, I'm going to erase all this stuff, and here's the problem. Here's the challenge that I've been facing the whole time I've been working on this job. That's why this is my 8th sketch. I'm trying to get myself happy. By the way, I do have an electric eraser. And I will be using it later, but I'm going to go ahead and use it right now just to clean up some of this stuff. Let me talk about electric erasers for just a moment. Hang on. One of these lines is not necessary. It's this one right there. I saw electric erasers in the art store for decades when I was an illustrator. And I thought, why would anybody ever need an electric eraser? It just seemed like, that's ridiculous. Then finally, this 1992, 93, I bought one. And as soon as I bought one, I went, oh my goodness. So that's why people use electric erasers. Yeah, so if you are a draftsman and you actually use, like an architect, or in my case, I was an illustrator, but I did a lot of fairly technical drawings, then yeah, you cannot live without a electric eraser. It's clean. All right, now here's what we got so far. It's getting a little confusing because at this angle you can hardly tell that this comes forward, but there's a couple of things I can do to fix that. One is, I don't know if you remember, there's supposed to be a dormer off each side of this. And you're about to see why on this particular rendering, even though most of the drawings I do for this client, I don't do linear perspective, you're about to find out why I pretty much have to on this particular job. Because it's a weird, wonky building, a weird, wonky angle. Everything about it is a little bit wonky. Boy, I erased a line and now I need to see it again because I need to make a mark that's parallel. There we go. Got it. there is a gable. Hang on just a second. Well, I'm going to finish it. I have a feeling I might have made it a little too large. We'll find out shortly. So again, I'm using the lines right now. I'm using the lines on this ruler to obtain pure verticality. So if you do a lot of drafting, if you do a lot of drawing, if your paintings or your artwork require a lot of drawing, then yes, you cannot live without one of these rulers. I'm here today to tell you all the things you can't live without. Let me take a look at that. I'm just going to erase some of the extraneous lines, the lines that we can't see now. I should have used electric for that. And he told me, my client did, that the vertical corner posts of the gable, not the gable, the dormer, almost come out this far, but not quite. And I have a feeling this just, here's where, by the way, I'm not drawing an object today that's already in existence. That would be much easier. I'm creating an object mentally. And even though I'm not drawing blueprints, I know, and again, I've worked for this man for a long time. He's very good, but I know that my drawing will influence some of the decisions he makes. Not all of them. He's not going to use this like a blueprint, but he'll be influenced by it. And I am looking at this drawing the way it is right now and saying, no, it just does not have friendly proportions. This dormer is too big. All right, so I'm glad I stopped right there. How do I make it smaller? I want to say easy, but it's not easy. Number one, I'm going to just make the footprint smaller side to side. So instead of coming down that far, now it just comes down that far. And, oh, this is easy. The vanishing point. Again, making these diagonal lines parallel to each other makes this job so much easier than if I were trying to do super high-tech, technical vanishing points. Because I can just make them parallel to each other. So what you saw me doing right there was a little bit of true artistry, if you will. I was using my intuition and asking myself, if I saw a tree house the way I had it just a few minutes ago, would I be happy? And my conclusion was, no, not really, not quite, because the dormer was too big. Isn't that funny? Now, again, it's just my job to draw a believable treehouse. My client's not going to use it as a literal go-by. But as I already said, I know him, and I think even if I didn't know him, I would do the same thing. I know that my drawing is going to influence the builder just a little bit. Let's clean this up now. And you can certainly see here now why an electric eraser. It'd be very hard to be this precise or this thorough. There we go. That's better. So, are you with me? Now, gable goes on the other side. Oh my goodness. How do I get this flipped over here? Because I can't see the roof. Okay, here's how I do it. I'm going to extend this line, these two lines, up to the top of the roof. And then from here, I'm going to trace not this line, but the one I already erased, that line. This line is now parallel to that one. Oh boy, this is getting a little bit thick. Just a little bit thick, but go to a clean part of the ruler. So far so good. So, and I can this and I tell you the truth, I'm just going to eyeball it. Shh, don't tell anybody. I know that this is about, a foot smaller, from a foot further back from this plane, and about 6 inches back from this plane. So I'm just going to eyeball that and see if it looks right. It's so nice when you come back to one of the lines that has this vanishing point, because it's so convenient. By the way, if I decide to modify this tree house at this point, I'm not going to do it on this broadcast. I'm going to start over from scratch. Vernacular architecture. Oh, that's interesting. That's great, Grady. Very fascinating. Vernacular architecture. Construction with the most common locally available materials. What fun. Fun to have a real professional on here giving us some of the engineering design. Wow. All right. So here, let me erase a bunch of extraneous lines. And now I'm going to do just a common sense, does it look right test. And it does not. I think I know what's the matter. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this point right here, linear perspective, there we go. Whew. All right, whew. That was a disaster, narrowly. No, I didn't avert it. I actually blew it, but I'm going to fix it right now. There we go. There have been times when drawing something complicated that you look at it and go, dang, something's wrong. And sometimes you have to go backwards before you find out where you went off. Thankfully, I only had to go back just a little bit to see where my mistake was. All right, now does it look right? Not quite, but I think I know why. I'm just going to cheat a little bit and add some. Here's another guideline. Yes, you can do perspective just flying by the seat of your pants. Does it have to be perfect? No. But it has to be perfect enough that only somebody with a better eye than you will be able to discern your mistakes. And if you're a trained or good or gifted artist, most people won't. I'm still not happy with how that's looking. So does it need to be perfect? No, but it needs to be perfect enough that normal human beings, can't identify the mistakes. All right, I'm going to end here in just a few minutes. Whoops. I don't know why I lost that camera. Let's see if the battery's dead. All right. Yeah, my battery died on one of the cameras, so I wasn't paying attention. So you'll have to watch from this angle now. Let me change this just a little bit. All right. Ooh, can you see that? Sorry, let me change the exposure. Forgive me just another second. Sorry about that. You can almost see it. Give me just another, whoops, give me another minute. I think I can make those lines visible. Then again, maybe not. All right, I'm just gonna let it go at that. Sorry about that. Oh, I know what I can do. And keep working until I get a little bit better for you. All right, so you can see those lines. I'm just about to quit there. Thankfully, lucky for me, this is a metal roof. And in fact, again, turning it upside down so I can use the lines on the ruler. The metal roof, the lines, the ribs in the metal roof are going to do more to satisfy this illusion, this rendering, to make it look than anything else. Let me show you why. There you go. Can you see that the ribs on the metal roof are always parallel? And see how they sort of disappear toenail into this line. So that indicates this line, that gable is coming forward. Let me take just a few minutes to clean this up just a little bit. I'm not sure clean up is the word, but a few more details, and perhaps you'll be able to see. And I'm going to find out here in just a minute if I like the way this is going to look. I'm just eyeballing, just flying by the seat of my pants now. There's doors here. 2 French doors, he said. I take it that means they are butterfly open this way. And then large windows on either side of those. So I'm not using a ruler now at all. I'm just really flying by the seat of my pants because I just want to see if I'm going to be happy with this rendering. Everything that I'm doing now, this drawing, of course, is not going to be part of the final illustration. This is the drawing to get everything in the right place. I will trace this drawing onto a little bit nicer paper in ink, and then, of course, do watercolor on top of it. Front doorknobs. You're beginning to see now what I'm visualizing, what I think this treehouse will look like, and I'm still want to find out, does it look like a nice treehouse? Does it look like believable architecture is really more to the point. And I think that it does. Let me see if I can turn on my other camera yet. It's got enough juice. the deck. Well, no, it's not letting me charge it up yet. Okay, forgive me. I'm going to take you guys on a ride for a minute. I'll let you watch this operation from a camera that is holding still. I'm going to move this camera completely to the other side. I'm sorry about that battery going dead. I've just learned today that evidently that one battery is much less stout than there we go. It's not perfect, but it's much better. All right, just a little bit of, so there's a platform, of course, around the tree house, rather amoeba shaped. He didn't use that word, that's the word I'm using. And I'm going to say, I am going to put not a welcome mat, but a square right in front of the doors. That will help identify the doors. That is certainly the kind of thing he would very likely or very possibly look at my illustration and say, oh yeah, that's good, let's do that. One of the things I'm most concerned with is, can we see enough of this gable area to discern what's going on? I'm going to darken in the windows up here to help create the illusion. Let me get rid of a couple lines. Like that. Yeah, I think that's about as close as I can get. And I'm going to stop there. Another last chance. Well, Grady, I feel the same way. I've got you by a year or two. I'm about to turn 72. Woohoo! Septuagenarians. The best season of life. All right. Thank you, guys. I hope this was beneficial or entertaining or helped you fall asleep if that's what you need to do. Thank you so much for watching. It's a pleasure. Hope to be back again soon. Bye-bye.